Bakina, Goncharenko, Sotnikova, Andreeva of Russia. No Privilova, bit of a surprise. She didn't run in the 4x1.
And there's Naylor. We've said so many times in this championships that it's going to be the biggest race of our athletes' careers, and this certainly is Naylor's biggest race. Got a smile. She's an absolute character, Lee.
She gave us a great walk, didn't she, through the village earlier in the week. Jill Miles to come home for the United States. There's Graham, their number 3. Stevens and Jones. Are they the favourites, do you think, the Americans?
No, I actually would put my money on the Russians. I think, Bruce. And I tell you what, this team's strong too. This team is very strong.
Yes, Hemmings, who was 3rd in the Great 400 hurdles, and has been very good on the flat this year. Campbell, Fraser, Richards, a real mix there, isn't there? Hurdling and flat running. Nigeria, that's Afolabi, goes to Ogunkoya, to Akarami, to Yusuf. That's not bad either, is it? Ogunkoya, Yusuf, both in the final.
There's going to be, or there was in the heats of this race, 2 seconds separating 2nd to 7th. So that will give you an indication of how close this final will be. Germans,
well, they'll be outsiders here. Knoll doubling up by the look of it. They've changed the order from what we've been given. Kisabaka to go 3rd, Yanka 1st, Knoll. So I think they've made one change there.
And Australia's team the same as in the heat, with Naylor passing to Renee Pawechka, to Melinda Gainsford, to Cathy Freeman.
What's the Australian record again?
The Australian record was set in the 1976 Olympics at 3:25.56, so they were only half a second off that in the heat.
Inside lanes, Cuba won. They've just seen Kiro get the gold medal. There's the Russian, Chepakina. Great Britain and Northern Ireland go from lane 2. Melanie Neef to lead off there. She was in good form in the 400 flat. Then Chepakina, Naylor, Australia, to give it to Renee Pawechka. Melinda Gainsford running her 2nd 400 metres within 24 hours. Has she done that before in her life?
I don't think she has. Perhaps in training, but certainly not at this intensity. And she'll be, I'm sure, pacing up and down on the track down there. In fact, we can see Melinda down there, and that's exactly what she's doing.
What's the key to the Australians for a good, solid result and maybe a national record?
Well, I think that we'll probably be looking for perhaps to get a little bit more time out of Melinda. And if Lee runs as she did in the heat but finishes on a bit stronger, and obviously Cathy Freeman can do anything when she sets her mind to it. And Renee Pawechka pretty much the same. Renee's a very tough cookie and a good person to put in the second. Lee Naylor actually has been christened in the house as the Red Cordial Kid, because she actually acts like a hyperactive child that's been on too much Red Cordial. And most of you that would have seen her walk through the apartments in the village could probably understand that.
Set. Australia in lane 4. So clean start. Germany out in lane 8. Nigeria 7. Jamaica 6. USA 5. There are a couple of the favourites. Naylor, Australia 4. The Russians, Chepakina, was brilliant in the heat. And again, she's gone out very fast on the right of screen. You can see she's moved up on Naylor. In lane 2, it's Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And in lane 1, it's Cuba. There's Naylor and Chepakina sitting on it. So Naylor's got to forget all about Chepakina and try and get some momentum with the baton when she comes through to Renee Pawechka.
One of the things that's really difficult when running relays is that you're very tempted to go out too hard for the first 200 metres. So we needed Lee to be a little bit passive in that and try and come home strongly so it keeps the baton moving through the changeover zone. She's got to keep running and pass off to Renee.
Gee, the Americans are going well. Rochelle Stevens to go for them. Goncharenko is split 52.05. Unofficial for Naylor, but pretty accurate, we believe. Renee Pawechka. So the Australians are in 8th place at the moment. Well back.
They really have gone out fast again this first 200 metres. It can be a bit of a trap for young players in a 4x4.
Australians, Renee Pawechka behind the Cubans. And also the Germans are up 4th. The Brits are 2 from the back. Pawechka's got to try and take a couple to try and improve. Goncharenko leads from Stevens up front. It's a great battle. Stevens takes over again. This is where it gets very hard. The next change, Jones will get it for the States. Sotnikova, Pawechka struggling a bit to give it to Gainsford. We're still back in 8th place. Melinda's got to try and pick off 1 or 2. We lost a bit of ground there. And Renee looks a bit hurt, doesn't she? She's come off.
She's been in real trouble. She's done a great job just to get through that, Bruce. She limped off the track yesterday and she's had a big hip problem.
Look at this in the back. Sotnikova taking Kamara Jones. Remember that Miles will come home for the Americans. Gainsford's taken the Cuban. Good run, Melinda, if she can hang on here. 52-1 for Poechka.
And this could hurt Melinda, this run. But in another hour, when she's over it, I'm sure she'll be happy she's run hard and fast. And she's going to come home over the Nigerian as well.
Back to the front. Gaines has picked off 2. Well done. Freeman to get it. Hang on, Melinda. Here's the last. Miles to get it. The US are in a winning position. Jamaica in front of Russia. Freeman gets it. She's in front of a couple. She might be able to pick off Oladapo of Great Britain. I reckon Cathy might take one scout. We might get up into 5th placing. Let's hope so. Miles is away in the back straight. The Russians move to 2nd. Jamaica 3rd. Germany 4th. Great Britain, Northern Ireland. The split for Gainsford, very good, 51-87. You can't see the Australians at the moment, but Freeman is mowing down the Brits. It's USA with Miles, who was in the placings, 3rd behind Perec. You'll see Freeman now go past into 5th placing. Our Australian record is 3:25.56. Cathy's fairly flying. Miles coming home. Hemmings is coming home. Freeman might even get 4th. Miles 1st. Jamaica 2nd. 3rd is Russia. Freeman's come home for 4th. She's run a mighty leg. Has that Cathy Freeman?
Absolutely phenomenal when Cathy has to chase someone. She is so incredibly talented. She would have picked up on those 2 girls she passed 20 metres in that 400. Well, and we've gone very, very close to the national record too. Cathy Freeman split 49.64.
She has flown. The Americans were superior. Jill Miles adding a bronze, or a gold now, to the bronze she won behind Perec with Davis. Freeman will have one of the best splits, if not the best split out of the whole race. They're the US. Their men are still going to go in the 4x4.
And Melinda Gainsford's in a bit of pain down there on the track too.
We'll get an interview with the Australian women, and gee, they'll be pleased. 4th place. Here's the last baton change. Gainsford had run very well. The Americans had taken over. The Russian woman went out too hard, Sotnikova. The Jamaicans, they had a real battle. Away went Miles. You can see Cathy Freeman. Let's hope this shot stays a bit longer. Already away are the Germans. Look at the lead the Germans and the Brits have got over Freeman. The Germans have got 30 metres on Freeman and the Brits have got 15 on her.
She's a fantastic mover, and boy, Cathy is one of the most competitive people you can get, so that'll be why she's run that 49.6 split.
Deke, you nearly jumped out of your chair when you saw Freeman coming home.
I love watching Cathy over the last 50 metres. She has such incredible determination.
Now the time, Jane, for the Australians?
Yeah, it's 3:25.88. They've missed that national record by 0.32 of a second.
Gee, those gals in Montreal must have been good in 76. I'm sure all of them back home tonight would have been hoping that the record would have gone. Charlene Rendina, what a great runner she was. Verna Bernard, the South Australian. Bethany Naylor. And Judy Canty. They would be thrilled to bits to see those Aussie girls come home 4th, and I'm sure, like all of us, they would love to have seen their record erased at long last, but it was really close. The Americans were favourites with the Russians. Privilova's a mystery today. She missed out by running the 4x1. They messed up the last baton change. She would have been so handy in the 4x4 for the Russians. Who knows, she may have a slight injury. As the Americans take a lap of honour. Now, Deke was told to keep an eye on the javelin when that was all going on. I don't know if he did, but here's Selesny anyway. Jane, his last attempt. We'll come back to Sonia O'Sullivan's race in just a moment. The result in the 4x400 confirmation. The Australians have got 3rd. Jamaica was disqualified. The Australian women 3rd behind the USA and Russia. How important that run by Freeman becomes now. Don't forget Gainsford and Poechka and Naylor too. There was some confusion in the tunnel after the race. We weren't too sure exactly what was going on. The Australians were starting to get some information filtering through. They weren't certain of the result, but this is where it happened, Jane, in the second leg where it looks like the Jamaicans have cut across.
You can see the Jamaican has cut across from lane 5 far too early. I think it's lane 5 or lane 6. You have to cut across where the line is across the track. You can almost see the flag there, and she's cut across too early. And the Jamaican running that leg was Merlene Fraser. But you know, that's the way the relays go. There's Renee Poechka in the back there.
So we went from 8th to 3rd in the end. 8th to 3rd in the end, the Australians. So we've won 2 medals in Gothenburg today. And we spoke to our Australian women before they knew the result. They felt that they'd finished 4th when they spoke to Tim Wharton. Here's that interview.
It was fun, actually. Even though the thought of 400 was a bit horrifying for a person like me, but it was, you know, we got a great team and it was a great experience.
And the others coach you as far as the 4?
She's our buddy, so we helped her out.
They're very good coaches.
We're all in the same house, so we've been telling her.
I've got very sore legs now.
I mean, in the 4, I mean, you're a 200-metre runner, but you actually made up ground on the others.
Yeah, but I paid them big money.
So this doesn't mean that you're going to move up to the 4?
No, I hope no one, especially my coach, gets any ideas. Good for training, that's it.
But we need it for the relay.
I'll do the relays. It's fun.
Congratulations. Thank you
Thanks very much.
And confirming that result, we will be able to bring you the presentation as well. The Australian women getting the bronze medal after our men had got the silver medal earlier in the 4x1. It's bad luck for Jamaica, but I tell you, we're thrilled to bits that we've come up for 3rd. In the 4x400, Australia have got the bronze medal. Tim Wharton caught up with them again and broke the news to the Australian women that they've got the bronze.
Well, there's some dramatic news that you could go up to bronze medal contention. I mean, what's your reaction?
Cry!
She's laughing and crying.
Oh man, I'm just going to wait because if we do, oh man, I'm going to do backflips out that straight.
Could you imagine bronze medal?
No!
I think it's a bit of a payback from last year losing the gold medal at Commonwealth, so this feels good.
It'll be very exciting. Kath, come here. You did a big job in this.
Kathy, what do you think of the news? I mean, you could move up to bronze medal.
I don't think it'll hit me until we're all up on the dais giggling and being silly and being girlish.
We've got the coolest team.
Yeah. So we're having such a great time. It's a lot of fun.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Well, they have got it. The Australians are bronze. We'll take a break. Back with more from Gothenburg after this.